Right, so it's Mr. Dosser back with another video. Before we get into the video, could you please like, subscribe, comment? And today's video is going to be about hypercars. Why I think they're just boring. I just find them boring. I'm not interested in them. I'm just going to go through a few reasons why. So, first of all, I find cars have an emotional connection. If you're a real car person, you have an emotional connection to cars. So when you were younger, you had that sort of poster car, and back when I was younger or other people were younger, they might have had like the Ferrari F40 or the F50 or the Enzo, and I feel like cars like them, they were supercars or considered hypercars at the time possibly. They were very, very interesting. They were completely different. They were different from the norm, even normal supercars. And I feel like those cars had a new level of performance, but it was still usable. And I feel like these days it's not usable power. So, for instance, I'll put into perspective the Bugatti Veyron. When the Bugatti Veyron came out, that was an amazing car. I remember at the time thinking, wow, this is the pinnacle of engineering, of automotive engineering. And at the time, it was a technical exercise. When VW bought Bugatti, they said, right, that's it. We're going to beat the McLaren F1. We need to make something that's amazing, blitzes everything, and it needs to be able to do it. Just pick up the key, turn it and go. There's no faffing about, there's no worrying about the turbo, the type of fuel you have, etc. Because don't get me wrong, there's probably plenty of tuned cars at the time that could push towards that sort of 1,000 horsepower mark, but you could probably do one run, like a quarter mile drag race or something, or blitz it down the autobahn, and then something would occur where it needs tuning again or it needs adjusting. So I feel like that element, that Veyron moment, it's hard to replicate that, because I believe because the McLaren F1, which is a three-seater hypercar that was made by McLaren at the time, because it held that record for the fastest production car for such a long time, for I believe over a decade it held it for. It's hard. It was easy then for people to accept the Veyron and be like, look, there's a new champion for the top speed for a production car. For a factory production car, this is a top speed. It's easy to enjoy that, applaud that, and just, put that up on a pedestal and be like, that is amazing. However, I feel with the Chiron, for instance, don't get me wrong, the Bugatti Chiron is an amazing car. Again, engineering wise, the interior, everything is very plush, it's very nice. However, I feel that it doesn't have the same gravitas, the same feeling that the Veyron gave people. Well, it doesn't for me anyway. And I feel that I think it's the case of, because of how long that record was held by McLaren for, and nobody thought that anyone would take that throne away, chuck it off the throne and think, take that away. Because at the time, you had Ferrari, the Enzo, Porsche Carrera GT, McLaren Mercedes SLR, a couple other people tried to tempt it, and I think people just thought, okay, no, the McLaren F1 is in its own thing, its own bubble of just, that's it, this is the fastest production car. But then, when Veyron did it, it was like, okay, Bugatti, well done. And then when Bugatti well, we made a faster version now, for the faster one, it's like, it's sort of expected. I know that sounds really, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but it's sort of expected. It's not, you'd expect Bugatti to make an improvement on the existing one, the newest model of their flagship car, their hypercar. It should be faster than the older one because engineering should improve. And I think with a lot of these new hypercars, the prices are getting absolutely insane, and they're just using this electric powertrain whereby, like the Lotus Evija and other cars, and I just feel they're losing touch with actual driving. I feel a lot of these cars are so compromised that, okay, this is my problem. Okay, with the Lotus Evija, with the Aston Martin Valkyrie, with the Mercedes Project One, which I believe they've renamed, all of that stuff, don't get me wrong, as an engineering feat, it's amazing. However, in terms of an ownership prospect, even if you have the money, would you actually drive them or will you actually use them? I know the Valkyrie, for instance, if you're certain height, certain shape, size, you can't even fit in one. In terms of using on the road, would you be able to use it on the road? Even if you do, is it actually usable? And then there's the issue of when the owners have these cars, they're just going to end up in collections. No one's really going to see them on the road. No one's going to be able to enjoy them. And I think it's hard for the younger generation to be excited about cars when they're not being used. They're not being, they're just seen as an investment. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong looking after your car, but you shouldn't just look at it as an investment purpose only. You should be able to enjoy it as well. And a lot of people say, yeah, but these cars, they're going to be amazing track cars. You can take to the Nürburgring, you should take them to Silverstone, etc., blah, blah, blah. But they're not going to. Because the issue is, if you're going to spend this amount of money, whether it's 2 million, 3 million, or 4 million pounds on these hypercars or hypercars, whatever you want to call them. You think to yourself, well, why don't I just get a track special for half the cost? You can get track specials, the cars you can only use on the track, for about $1 million. I know you say only, but compared to spending 2 or 3 million, spending $1 million on a car, that's less than half price. Why not spend that money in a track-only car? And you'll be able to enjoy it, and it'll probably be just as fast, if not faster, than a road legal version. And you won't be able to even utilise this power on the road. I mean, is it for just doing laps around Knightsbridge? Around Harrods? I don't know, and this is the problem I have. And I find with hypercars now, there's a whole emphasis on just straight line speed. And not even just straight line speed, just acceleration. And again, it's to do with electric powertrains, electric cars. Yes, I understand that, it's important. Speed's an important element. However, batteries are heavy. Hypercars should be light and nimble. And if they're not light and nimble, they should still have very good driving feel. And I feel like putting massive amount of batteries in the car doesn't enable it to have that sort of feel that you would get from a sports car. And I feel that it's just detrimental to the whole, ethos of a hypercar. The hypercar is supposed to be the extreme of something, and it's not supposed to care about stuff like the environment, etc. And I think an important element is sound. Again, I've mentioned it in the electric car video I made. Sound is extremely, extremely important. And I feel, again, if there's no sound coming from a lot of these hypercars, such as the Lotus Evija, is it really a hypercar then? I mean, surely sound's an important element. And I think maybe the younger generation, like kids that are growing up now, maybe they prefer electric cars. Like, they don't care about Ferraris, Lamborghinis and Porsches. Maybe they just care about electric cars. Maybe I'm just thinking backwards and I'm just a dinosaur. I don't know. But that's my take on hypercars and why I think they're boring. I mean, it's not just me saying, oh, because I'll never afford them, blah, blah, blah. Because let's be honest, I'm not going to be able to afford a Ferrari or Porsche probably in my lifetime. So for me, it's the case of, it's not to do the fact it's out of my remit, it's out of my price range. And it will always be. It's not that, because a lot of cars are that I like. For instance, I like the Ferrari 458, 458 Speciale. I like quite a few Ferraris, Porsche Carrera GT. I love them, yet I'll never be able to afford. So it's not pricing, in case anyone is thinking. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you agree? Tell me what you want in the next video. I'm always looking for suggestions. If you could please like, subscribe, comment. We're trying to push to 2,000 subscribers. I'm really grateful for watching the video. If you made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back, and I'll see you next time.